Hey YouTube, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel. And the reason I'm laughing is because how terrible this this Joe Dirt mustache looks. So I shaved this the other day just to mess with my wife, and I've kept it. It was our anniversary yesterday, so I'm just gonna keep it until I gotta go back to work. But anyways, I can't look at myself on camera. But anyways, today we have finally got some gauges in. God, you guys can't see me. But yeah, we got some gauges in. ISPRO hooked it up. They sent me out 5 gauges. So here they are. I'm gonna show you guys right here exactly what we got. We have a exhaust back pressure gauge, hence the copper coil. We have a pyro. There's my thermocouple for it. And then here's the trans oil temp. And I also got a boost gauge and a fuel pressure gauge in here to replace the actual ones I have already. And the reason I'm replacing those because those are the R32000 series. These are the R42000 series. And if you look at these, they have a silver bezel around the side. And if you look in the truck, they actually have a silver bezel around the RPM gauge and the speedo. I have the chrome ones in there now. I'm going to be pulling those off and then putting all 5 of these in. So I do have an Autometer A-pillar gauge pod holder coming. So I have that coming. And then I also still already have the steering wheel column mount, so I'm going to use that. But I'm going to tear out everything I have in there now. And I'll take the MM3, I'm going to mount it to the windshield, and I'm going to run all the new wiring. For wiring, every harness is the same. As you guys can see over here, I got some older stuff. This is from the first set of gauges I installed. But let me pull out this wiring real quick. If you guys look at these gauges, they're packed really well. This one I haven't opened yet, but I'm just going to show you exactly. Actually, I have opened because I broke the tamper seal thing right there. But I'll show you guys how they come, and I'll show you what I'm talking about when it comes to the wiring. Every gauge has a set of orange, black, and red wires. That's going to be your dimmer, your ground, and your power. So I'm not going to run 5 different powers, 5 different dimmers, 5 different grounds. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a pigtail for the A-pillar, and then I'm going to make another pigtail for the steering column mount to where there's only 2 powers, 2 grounds, 2 dimmers. So that's what I'm going to be out here working on now. We'll show you guys, how to install them and how to route them through the truck once they're made. Alright guys, like I stated earlier, I got the R32000 series. You see the chrome bezel, but if you look at the gauge itself, it's got the like brushed gray look, so we're going to upgrade to those. We're going to remove these, and in order to remove these, there's some tabs like right here, and then there's one back there. We're going to pull those out. This will just like lift right off, no problem. But what I'm going to do now is start to remove this A-pillar mount. When I got the single gauge for my MM3 mount, there's just a big Phillips head screwdriver, or big Phillips head screw that replaces the actual 10 mil. So I'm going to pull that. I'll pull this out, and then I'll pull the 10 millimeter out as well. And the only thing you do to just get this dislodged is just yank on the handle, and it'll all come down. One good thing about keeping old parts that you never used is you never know when you're going to need them. So what we're going to do is we're going to stick our MM3 up there in the corner of the windshield, probably as low as I can without like interfering in my vision, and we'll hang up the new well, not new, but the new way we're going to mount the MM3. We'll hang it up right there. As you guys see here on the steering column, I have the wires tied together. I kind of made a fishtail so far. I think I'm gonna have to cut everything right about here, and then I'll make an extension line and turn all 3 of these orange ones into one wire, all the black ones into one wire, and all the red ones. So that's what we're gonna do now. Alright, so we got the MM3 up there. I measured all the wires with the A-pillar here. There should be only one bolt that holds in the new A-pillar mount, and that's going to be right about here. This is my wiring for my camera that I have up here that I have yet to install. So I'll clean that up a little bit. Alright guys, I've done 2 of the 3 pigtails. What I'm doing, you can see it pretty good right here, is I'm doing 3 into 1. I think this is 18 gauge wire. This is 14 gauge wire is what I'm using to run it down. This will be, the orange is my dimmer wire. The way I deciphered it, because I have another red wire I'm going to put on, is I opened the end up, so I know that's going to be my dimmer, not my positive. So the black is obviously my ground. That's coming up here. That's going to be all done there. And then the last one I have to do are my 3 reds. So obviously I just strip the ends of this and then I splice it in with that. I use these connectors. I saw these on Instagram or Facebook years ago. I'll try to focus in on here real quick. Yeah, so it's heat shrink tubing on each side, and then that metal in the middle is actually some solder, and you heat it up with a lighter or whatever. The torch kind of burns right through it, so I try to do it slowly with the lighter, and that melts around each wiring, kind of like soldering it in at the same time with heat shrink. And then I put a tube of heat shrink over it, and this is the kit I have. I got this from Harbor Freight. It's like $7, but that's what I've been doing. I'm actually going to do my last one right now, and then we'll put it in the truck. As you guys can see, that's how it looks after it's done. Then I'm just going to slide the heat shrink up and we'll be done. Alright guys, I'm about to run the power dimmer and ground wire, but first what I did was I tore off my door seal and then also the side panel here. It's easy because once you start routing the wire up through the A-pillar, you can come down through here and then it'll easily be traced back down through here. I'll tell you right now, one of the best spots I found for a ground is right there. That's where my old gauges are tied into the ground there. So I'm probably gonna see if I can clamp another one behind there. And then for my dimmer wire, you can push out, I'll show you real quick. I think you could just pull this out real quick. I don't know if you guys can see in there, but there's a little pink tap that I have right there. That's for the dimmer wire. And then the power I'm actually gonna run under here. I'll pull it off so you see the tap right here. That is for my that is my accessory on wire. I'll pull it off so you can get a better look at it. All right, you guys can see that I actually have the harness right here laid up around the steering wheel. Here is going to be my dimmer wire. I know that because I shaved that end off, and that's going to plug in behind your light switch here. There's a plug. Disconnect that plug, and if you look for the orange, it's kind of hard to see. It's a orange and purple striped wire. If you look at the back of the connector, it's the top one, second from the right. That is actually your dimmer wire. You can see right here, this is the first one that I have ran to the gauges up here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut some of the tape back and I'm gonna tap into it again. All right, so as you can see, I got the orange and purple wire I got it tapped into. This is my dimmer light for my entire harness for right there, and then that is the first of 3 wires that I have to tap into. About to do the grounding wire. That one is going to go, like I said, right there. That should be fairly simple. It's day 2. The reason I didn't finish it all in one day is that everybody just has those days, right? You start working on a project, nothing goes your way, things start breaking, you get to a point where you're just kind of stumped, and it seemed like everything I was doing was messing up. So I called it a day last night just so I didn't break anything else, I didn't lose my patience or my temper and mess anything up. As you guys can see over here, I took the cover of the turbo off, I took the elbow off. The problem I'm having right now is trying to get the NPT off of the bottom of the Steed Speed manifold out. I'll show you guys a tool real quick I busted. Where's it at? I actually put it back on here. You can tell, you see that right there? This part right here broke off. It's in the 1/8 NPT that's on the bottom of the Steed Speed manifold. I've been messing with it with a pick trying to get it out. I've been messing with it with vice grips and it doesn't seem like it's coming out. It was a pain in the butt to even like start to loosen. It loosened a little bit, but nothing crazy. So I think I'm actually gonna have to drill and tap the Steed Speed manifold on the top in order to put this fancy dancy coil exhaust back pressure gauge on. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make the wire harness for the actual gauges themselves, not the power dimmer and ground, but the actual sensor wires, and I'm going to try to get all those going into a wire loom and route it up. So when the Autometer A-pillar gauge pod gets here, then I can just, you know, crimp the wires on and throw the gauges in. So that's what I'm going to do today. All right, guys, we are in luck. Here is the old MPT on the bottom of the Steed speed manifold. As you can see, it's kind of chewed up there. I used vice grips to get it out, but we got it out. So I really didn't want to drill into that Steed speed manifold. Things like a work of art, I didn't want to drill another hole if I absolutely didn't have to. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to install this fitting for the exhaust back pressure, and I'll show you exactly where we're going to do that. Also, I got the wires ran for the exhaust back pressure and EGT probe right here through the whole top. I still haven't buttoned it up yet. I'm still waiting to see exact lengths, what I need. So I don't have a whole lot of slot, but if you guys can see here, I got a whole lot of room. I could probably use a few inches in the cab, but we're gonna install our exhaust back pressure sensor down here below the Steed speed manifold. Once we get that on, we'll throw the sensor on, and I'll throw the rest of the turbo kit back on. But man, that sucked. All right, success. We got the exhaust back pressure coil in there, and I'm gonna run my sensor wires now, put some wire loom around them to clean it up, close everything else up in here, and then I gotta run the trans oil temp line to the pan. That's gonna make a freaking mess. Got the engine all put back together. I'm gonna close the hood now, wipe her down a little bit. She looks pretty. So there's the wiring going into the firewall right there. It's just that plug, or that, I guess there's like a block off plate back there. There is a block off plate back there. I've got like 4 holes drilled through it, so I got a lot of wiring going into the cab. But next part is actually going to be coming under the truck, and it's going to be a messy job. And the reason I say that is because without draining my drain pan, I gotta pull out this bung, or this MPT, hold my finger over it, and then slowly, sorry for the camera work, slide this in and start tightening it down. Hopefully I don't lose a lot of fluid. That's gonna be my problem. So I got towels, I got rags, and I got the required tools to get it done. So I'll film it. Hopefully that don't make too much of a mess. So you guys seen that I got the temp sensor in there. I got everything zip tied up. It is good to go. I'll show you guys one more look. But yeah, got her all in there. Everything looks good. Obviously I'll check it for the next day or two for leaks, but one thing you want to make sure is this is your front drive shaft right here. So make sure you get that cord away from that as much as possible. I'm very lucky that I had that MPT port from the RevMax pan already in there. So that made it pretty easy. But you can see kind of right there where I zip tied it. I still need to cut the parts off, but that should hold her up. All right, and what you guys see here looks like a jungle of wires, but let me explain it real quick. Like I said earlier, this is our power, dimmer, and ground. Red power, orange dimmer, black's ground. I have my EGT port, so that's gonna go at the bottom here, or the middle, I don't know yet. I have my black and green. I know that is straight up transmission because it only has 2 lines, and then this other one is my exhaust back pressure sensor. So you could put these in a wire loom and make them look pretty to come all the way through the cab, but believe it or not, you don't see it because it's all under the dash. So just make sure you label these some way. If all of your all of your pressure sensor wires, boost, fuel pressure, exhaust back pressure, all share the same wiring harness. So just make sure you label it correctly. You don't want to be cross wiring pressure sensors. So that's what we're going to do for now. We're just going to leave it up here until we get the the actual A-pillar mount in, and then I'll show you exactly how to wire them, because I'm not going to cut anything without having that, just so I know I got everything, all my bases covered. But what I am going to do is I'm going to pop out these, and I'm actually just going to replace the gauges, the turbo and the fuel pressure, and put the new ones back in and pull these ones out. All right, so I pulled all the tabs out of here, out of the sides, as you guys can see. I got them there in my cup holder, and you just pretty much just lift up on this, and you kind of got to finagle your way out of it. Kind of hard to do with one hand, but I'll put you guys over here, see if you can see me do it. Here we go. And these things are held in here tight, so what I'm trying to do is get my finger actually behind there and push it out with my hand rather than yanking on the face of it. It's kind of hard to see it. Yeah, there we go, just like that. And I'm gonna do the same to the other side. I'm gonna pop it right back in. All right, guys, as you see here, this is the orange connectors. This is how you wire up your connectors. And I'll show you guys, dang, it's windy out. And I'll show you how to do this when I do the A-pillar ones. But you can see right here, this is your power, dimmer, ground, and then these are your sensor wires. Not exactly sure, but this is the red and yellow, the green, and then the ground for the actual sensor. So you get them in there, you have to make sure it is positioned in with the teeth pointing up, not down. And the best way to do it is coming up from the bottom. Don't go up from the top and then like have the wires come up from the top and go down, because you don't have much room to play inside of this gauge pod. So I'm gonna throw the gauges in here now, and then we'll do a little test, make sure they work. One thing I do want to add is I'm going to take these stickers off of the top of the gauge. It is so tight to get in there that you guys saw the last ones. I don't know if you guys saw the last ones. I'll go take a quick video of it. But these labels right here get crunched up and scraped because that's how tight of a fit it is in this gauge pod. You do not have to worry about these, like when you're driving down the road, popping out a little bit to where you see the side. They are going to stay put. So I'm going to go ahead and put these in now, and we'll have to wait to get the other side done. All right, so we got them in there. Make sure they are centered where you want them and they are not crooked, and just slowly push them in. I have to put y'all down. I can't do this with one hand. Just that easy. We just gotta wait till they get the A-pillar mount, and we'll do the rest of them. All right, one thing I did want to tell you guys is this is not one of those fun to do mods. Wiring is never fun. A lot of people get scared of it. It's not that big of a deal if you just match the color where it's supposed to go. You're not adding anything really additional to the truck other than tapping into, say, 3 wires. You're literally running a sensor which has 3 wires, and then your power, dimmer, and ground. I'm going to show you guys a better place to mount the power, the accessory on power, than actually getting up under the dash like I showed you earlier. There's like a sensor or a speaker or something like right on the bottom of your, like if you look at your steering wheel, it's on the bottom of below your key, whether it's the turn key ignition or the push button. There's some vents, and behind there is a wire that you can tap into. I'll show you guys there here in a second, but just wanted to say, like, when you're doing this wiring, it sucks. Yes, I'm a mechanical guy. Trust me, I'm not an electrician. It's not what I like to do. This crap sucks. But these gauges are so worth it. You know, just a little bit of time and a little bit of learning you're going to do putting these gauges in are definitely going to make the outcome worth it. I was going to rewire and put up the pyro next to the steering wheel, but I decided just to leave that on the A-pillar and use what I already have wired in there. So fuel pressure and turbo boost are going to stay there. And I misspoke earlier. I said the R32000 series is what I have, or what I had, and that's not what I had. These are the R30000 series. They look very similar to the actual the 42000 series, like you're supposed to have with the chrome bezel. If you want the chrome bezel, it's going to be really hard to tell the difference. But these are supposed to be, I think, for the 2010 and 12 model, and the 13 and up is when they go to the gray bezel like this. So I just pulled these out. These are the R30000 series, and I have the R42000 series now. So not much has changed. It's just the bezel, I guess you could say, around it. They're phenomenal gauges. They work great. The only thing I want to remind you of is, this happened to me the first time I wired them in, was do not wire them to a hot power, like straight to the battery. It will kill your battery. I went on deployment, came home, battery's completely dead because I had the gauges completely wired to the battery, straight to the battery, no fuse, no accessory on hot wire, or no accessory on like hot. So it just drained the battery over like a month and a half. So definitely don't do that. And I'll show you guys here in a second what I'm talking about, where I'm going to wire in the actual accessory on, or power on. All right, guys, we'll just show you exactly, we'll just do an op check real quick, make sure they work. Looks good to me. They work. I'm not going to rev it up to get the boost. I'm just not going to do it. But you're really not going to be able to see boost or anything from that. So, looks good. All right, you guys see this is the panel that goes right below your steering wheel. This is the wire that comes out of the back of this sensor, whatever the hell it is. I really don't care. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that there is no power at this pink and green wire, second one right next to the black ground, that is your accessory on wire. What we're going to do, I'll show you real quick. I'm going to set you guys right here. I got my probe with the light on it, right? So there is no power. Obviously, that's the first one. That's the ground. There's the pink and green. There's no power. There's the blue and pink, and then there's the blue and purple. All right. So I'm going to leave it plugged into the pink and green, and I'm going to turn the key ignition on, and this light will come on in this handle. Boom. That's how we tell that we have power. So what we're going to do is we're going to tap into this wire right here, and that'll be our power on to our gauges. All right, so we got everything hooked up down there. Got ourselves tapped into that pink and green wire. I'm going to test myself up here on the harness now. So I got it hooked to a ground. I'm just going to take a red wire, and I'm going to hit the center of it, and I shouldn't have any power right now. Boom, nothing. You guys can see that I have no light. So here we go. Let's try it. Turn accessory on. I'm on accessory. Nothing. Run. I got power. So I'm going to check that on all three of them. There's one. There's two. And there's three. So we are good to go. All right, guys, we are back. It is day 3. Got the A-pillar mount in. I'm going to unbox this real quick. We'll go out to the truck. I'll show you guys how to do all the wiring, get the gauges installed. We'll test it. I'll go on a little test drive, and then yeah, we'll just wrap up this video. All right, guys, with every wiring kit you have this orange plug, and this is the order of the wiring diagram. This is the way it should go. So your red, orange, and black are your power, dimmer, ground, and then your green and black wire are going to go just like that, just that order on your plug connector. Make sure you have your plug connector pointed up like so. You don't want to have it upside down like that, and you don't want the wires coming through the top and going down. You want it from the bottom going up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to route them all right through here. I'll put them in here. I'm going to squeeze it together with the handy dandy, I don't know if these are called channel locks, but I got these. These are pretty nice. So put you guys on fast forward. I'll knock these out real quick and show you guys how it's done. Alright, so this little black piece here they give you. Alright, so this little black piece they give you, this is how you line up your wires. So I got red, orange, black, space, green, black. Look over here. I got red, orange, black, space, green, black. Just want to double verify you do that before you actually start crimping them on there. And then you put your orange piece in there, like so, making sure your things are on the top. Well, let's try this way. Alright, once they're all in there, go ahead and put this white cap on here. Go put that on the back, and then I'm going to cut all the excess wires off the top here. Alright guys, let's do the startup. Fuel pressure's good. We haven't tested the boost. Until our pyro's working. Exhaust back pressure. It looks like it's flickering on camera, it's not. And our trans oil temp. Check the dimmer. It's working. Looks like it's working. Full bright. And next thing to do is just test drive. Man, that's pretty cool looking. We're just cruising out of the neighborhood now, but having those gauges right there, that's a different feeling. I don't know, it's cool. I'm happy they're there. I'm very happy with the install. I love the way these ISPRO gauges look, but having something right there, it kind of, right now it's distracting. I've been driving it for 5 minutes. I need to fix my MM3. I don't have an EGT anymore, so that's what that top left box is. Hope you guys like the flag in the background. Alright guys, so we got all 5 of the ISPRO gauges installed. 3 of them we had to wire, 2 of them already had existing wiring. Longest install I've done just because I had to do it over several days, but we finally got the A-pillar mount in and everything went flawlessly. So once that got in, everything was good. We were just wiring in the connectors and then putting the connectors to the gauges and the gauges back into the A-pillar gauge pod. I'd like to give a huge shout out to ISPRO. Those guys are awesome for hooking me up with these gauges and letting me do the install so I can bring that content to you guys. If you guys haven't, head over to their IG page. I'll put their link in the description. Give those guys a good follow. They have some awesome products, whether it's a 3rd gen, a 4th gen, or an earlier 4th gen model. So their gauges to me are second to none. I know Autometer makes a factory match set for the Dodge Rams, but I just don't think they're as crisp and as clear as the ISPRO gauges. Personally, that's why I bought the ISPRO gauges myself before they jumped on board and helped me out. I think they're just the best gauges that they have out there. So if you guys have any questions, please let me know. Comment down below. All right guys, that's gonna do it for today's video. It's gonna wrap up everything. I apologize for the 30-minute video, but it's a very tedious process when it comes to wiring these gauges. You have to run like your power ground and your dimmer, and then you have to run the sensor wire. You gotta hide everything so it looks clean, it looks professional. You just don't have wires out everywhere. So once again, I appreciate each and every single one of you guys watching. If you guys haven't been here before, please do me a favor, get down there, like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Until then, we'll see you guys on the next upload. Have a good one.